The King's Man. The King's Man is the story of the Duke of Oxford, played by Ralph Fiennes, and his son named Conrad. At a young age, Connor sees his mother killed during one of the Great Wars. Conrad grows up, he wants to serve his country, but his father will not give him his blessing, given that everything his father has seen in his lifetime from serving his country, things haven't exactly gone very well. And to boot, World War I is getting worse and politicians are having trouble bringing it to an end. So the Duke takes matters into his own hands, forms his own secret service in order to end the Great War. It operates in the shadows and consists of himself, his house assistants Polly and Neil, and now Conrad. Together they must work to pull the strings in order to end World War I. And we have our movie. Overall, The King's Man was a lot better than I expected it being. Given the amount of box office it's made and the lackluster reviews, I was a little nervous going into it, but I was very pleasantly surprised. At its base, it's an awesome tale about a father and a son who are at odds each other because of how much they love each other. And from that base, we get really fun and intricate espionage and a spy film that's grotesque, brash, brutal, and really funny at sometimes. The relationships between our aforementioned characters are deeply meaningful, and they're also really pleasant to follow along on screen. As they and the events in the film progress, you can feel that gradual tension build to climaxes, and it makes for some very deeply satisfying and meaningful conclusions. Together, this makes for a very wholesome and complete experience by the time everything is said and done. Starting off with what I really liked about this movie, The King's Man has excellent storytelling. Throughout the film, we're ultimately told the tale of a father and a son, who are, of course, at odds with one another. However, the movie finds a way to intricately weave in spy and espionage elements along with the backdrop of the historical events of World War I. And the right balance is struck between all of us in order to tell us one story. It helps make the film digestible and keeps it from being too complicated. And in addition to that, many themes are touched upon that would appeal to all of us. The love between parents and children is so prevalent in the film, and it helps fuel and intensify a lot of the conflicts that we see. It intensifies the story, immerses you into each conflict, and it adds a lot of weight to each of the events that ensues based on the actions taken by each character. And with tension building in each conflict, it produces a lot of shock value when these conclusions are reached, making the experience that much more cathartic and wholesome. Also, the spy and espionage elements are a lot of fun. The Duke is building some sort of guerrilla secret service on his own, and the manner in which the movie portrays that will have your head kind of running wild in the best way possible. You see the secret service go from the small band to a much more networked approach throughout the film. The film ensures to explain their strategies for growth, change making, accomplishing objectives in a way that isn't too complicated and is also really fun. And the success of that can be attributed to some of the techniques that the film uses in order to explain things. For example, if Polly and Neil are explaining something to the Duke about a mission they're executing, they'll give a little bit of voiceover, and the movie will also add in some visual in order to supplement that voiceover. So not only do you get the audio aspect and the explanation of it, but you get the visual cues in order to kind of complement each other, and it gives you that full-on explanation, and it works really well. It's fun, it's effective, and it helps make the runtime really efficient. Also, the action is well balanced and it has its own unique flavor. During films around war, you'll typically encounter a lot of violence that can be over the top, gratuitous, really bloody, really raunchy. In this case, there's an ample amount of action in the film that's really meaningful and adds to the narrative of the story, but it's also done with flair and a lot of humor, and in a way I quite haven't seen it done before. You'll see unexpected exaggerations that are really funny, but are juxtaposed with really violent actions that just grab your attention, and that enhances the experience in a really strange way. I actually found myself smiling and laughing during some of the most intense action scenes because of that juxtaposition. And I think that juxtaposition really stems from a tone that includes dancing, upbeat songs, and even subtly promiscuous dialogue throughout these fight scenes. It helped me have a ton of fun with the movie, and it really gave its own unique flavor and identity that I just wasn't expecting. Watch the movie, you'll see exactly what I mean. Now, what did I not like so much about this movie? The King's Man has too much filler, or rather fluff. The runtime of the film is 2 hours 11 minutes, but I think it could have had the potential to be just under 2 hours. There are scenes of the film that feel elongated for no other reason than to just kind of add runtime, which is really strange. These scenes that are elongated don't really add any narrative elements to the story, so they're kind of useless. They feel like they're building tension and stakes just for the reason of building tension and stakes. Like, it doesn't really contribute to anything, it's just to kind of get you on the edge of your seat for maybe a minute or two, and that's just not very meaningful. Also, I found the film to be kind of confusing at the start. The King's Man doesn't take a lot of time to set up what's going on, what the objectives are, and who our main characters are for the film, but the setup does start off a bit disjointed, and actually took me about a quarter of the way through the movie before I realized what exactly was going on. If it took me any longer than that, I might have even checked out of the movie entirely, but the film does recover. It makes things a lot more digestible, and you will understand what's happening at a suitable point to enjoy the movie. Friends, I'm gonna have to give The Kingsman a 7 out of 10. It was really good, and I highly recommend seeing it in theaters. Friends, have you seen The Kingsman? If so, what'd you think of it? You know where the comment section is. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching another Bankrupt Hippo movie review. If you like this, click right here if you'd like to see more. I've been Bryson. Until next time, have a great day.